I'm going to address some topics today that I think are very, very important. I think probably I'll name this video the takedown of the mainstream media or the takedown of the media. I want to address this situation with the media propaganda. And in fact, I most likely will be doing a series. But you never know. I do stuff off the top of my head, but most likely I will be doing a series on propaganda or disinformation. Disinformation. The main purveyors of disinformation in this modern day age is the mainstream media. And when I'm talking mainstream media, I'm talking about CNN, Fox News, CNBC, CBS, the whole the whole gamut of all the stuff that you see when you turn on your television or when you watch your cable TV. And most people have this stuff on 24/7. A lot of people walk around the house with it blaring in the background. This would be the mainstream media. And of course, there's other forms of mainstream media. There's the newspapers. There's the internet, okay, not just TV, but stuff that comes through the internet from the mainstream sources. And these mainstream sources are constantly flapping their jaws and putting out disinformation and propaganda. And I will, like I said, I will be doing a series on disinformation and propaganda, hopefully, so to enlighten some people out there. Now, besides the mainstream media, and that's why I was thinking about naming this just Take Down the Media, we have alternative media. And we have a bunch of people on alternative media that are putting out certain ideas, putting out supposedly ideas contrary to the mainstream media, or sometimes they're known as truthers because they try to give you another take, or they try to reveal to you that the mainstream media is lying and that this is what's really true. Let me say right off the bat that the people that control the mainstream media, like NBC, Fox News, the powers to be behind the government, the people that control YouTube, the people that control Google, the people that control Facebook, the people that control LinkedIn, the people that can, all of these are, these people are not born yesterday. They're deep into covert activity. They're deep into mind manipulation, have been for quite some time. They're deep into fooling people. They're deep into spinning. And they're deep into the illusion, okay? And one of the illusions that they could very well perpetrate is when you think you're watching alternative media, and when you think you're watching your favorite guy or gal, whoever it may be, in the, let's say, patriot movement, because that's a big thing right now with the chaos that's going in the world right now. So anyway, I don't want to get off subject here, but when you watch your favorite guy or gal and or your favorite group or whatever, and you think that you might be hearing the complete truth about everything, think again. In fact, that favorite guy or gal that you might be watching might be a disinfo agent, or they could be because see like I was going to say the powers to be, the same people that control, let's say Fox News, CNN, and all that stuff, same people that control them actually took over the internet, and when they started censoring people and taking down people, right about that time, or maybe before then, even probably before then, they infiltrated YouTube and different platforms and planted people for disinfo. You think this is far out? No, this isn't far out. This is truth. I'm telling you the truth. I'm probably one of the few people, seriously, now that I look at it, when I'm looking at some of these people out there, I'm probably one of the few people that is really trying to tell you truth. And that means no spin or no promises, no bullshit. Just trying to tell you, truth. Now, if somehow I'm not telling truth or it interferes with your truth, well, then it would be up to you, wouldn't it? It would be up to you to see, to check on me, to do some checking and see if what I'm saying is true or not, or at least think about what I'm saying. Now, one of the reasons that I'm doing this video is because I have people that I go to, although it's been dwindling. It's been dwindling because the more I hear, the more some stories don't add up. And one can get caught up, okay, because of the chaos that's happening in the world today. One can get caught up in hoping for a better future or hoping for a better world or wanting a better world. Well, we all want a better world. Anybody that's enlightened always wants a better world. But when you get caught up into the politics, okay, let's talk about the political situation or the politics of, let's say, nationalism and globalism and political parties and governments and ideologies. When you get caught up in that, then you tend to take a side. You tend to take a side. So let's say that you get caught up, and this is just an example. Let's say you get caught up in the situation of let's just take the political arena for a minute. Let's say you get caught up in the situation of wanting one party, one president, or one representative, like Trump, somebody like that. You want them to be your savior, or you think that they should have stayed in office, or you think that um, they represent your ideology, your political perspective, your religious political perspective, because politics is a religion. So you get caught up in this situation where you think that a certain person is going to save your ass, or you think that a certain person is going to make everything okay, bring in a new system. And so when the mainstream media obviously isn't giving you the truth, which a lot of people, at least I'll give them that much credit, some are waking up. When you see that they're not giving you the truth or the truth that you want, well, then you go to an alternative source, don't you? Got my water here, so my throat gets dry. You go to an alternative source to get the spin you want or to get the feel good that you want, the hopium that you want. Because you continually, if you're a good person, you want hope for the future, and so you want your outcome. You think your outcome is the hopeful way or the better way. So you go to these alternative sources that are on YouTube. And a lot of them keep getting taken down. So you figure, well, if they keep getting taken down, they must be telling some truth. And a lot of them are. A lot of them are. But what I want to say right now is that you got to be careful about that. You got to be real careful, because what I said before about them infiltrating and planning people, all it takes is one leader, one guy or one or two, to set a trend, and then the rest follow. Okay, and so you could have a quote unquote patriot movement that espouses that their way is the patriot way and it's the only way, and that's going to solve the problems of our society. And all of a sudden, all kinds of stories start coming out via this patriot movement that give you hope that maybe your guy is going to be back in a position to create a new society, or to create a utopia, or to create everything's, let's just put it this way, everything's going to be okay now, man. It's all going to be okay because let's take the election thing here. Well, there's some people on one side that say the election was a fraud, and there's people on the other side that say, oh, no, that was totally legal. It would have been a fraud if we hadn't stepped in. So you got spin going on both sides here. Where's the truth? Where's the truth to this? That's something that would be difficult to find or understand. So here you are. I mean, I, as a spiritual person, and let's say my viewpoint or my spin or my ideology is, I try to come from a shamanistic point of view. This might be a long video. I try to come from a shamanistic point of view. I try to come from an enlightened point of view. I got stuff popping up on my computer here. I try to come from an enlightened point of view. And that means, do I put my faith in anything in this world? If I'm coming from a high spiritual point of view, even let's say if you're coming from a Christian point of view, what did Jesus say? He said, my kingdom is no part of this world. Or he said a lot of things that entertain the thought of not being a part of this world, like Taoist philosophy, like many spiritual philosophies. When you come in from that angle, you realize that politics is a sham. The mainstream media is a sham. Most of the alternative media has an agenda also. A lot of their agenda is to make money. I mean, you can watch people, I'll even say some names here, and that doesn't mean I'm trying to put these people down. I'm just sitting here looking at what's going on in the landscape. People like Charlie Ward and Mel K and Michael Jaco and Robert David Steele and Oh, just a bunch of people out there all seem to be on the same bandwagon that everything's going to be made okay because there's good guys that are fighting the fight against the bad guys, the white hats against the black hats. This sounds like a B movie, a B Western movie. You know, the good guys have the white hats and the bad guys have the black hats. And so are these people wrong, or am I saying that it is wrong to follow these people or to look at what they're saying? No, I'm not saying that at all. I even look at these people because how would I know about them if I haven't been watching them? Oh, let's not forget David Nino Rodriguez. Now, these people might have some very valid points, okay, about, let's say, us losing our freedoms. And I am I in particular like, well, for a while I was watching Mel K and I watched David Nino Rodriguez and I watch people out there to see what they're having to say because I like to keep a pulse on things. I don't watch them because, hey, I'm buying into that 100%, man. I've been around long enough. I've been doing, see, here's the thing that most people don't realize. I've been doing videos against the deep state and against the powers to be and against the manipulation of mankind and all of this stuff for 10 years plus. 10 years plus. All you got to do is go back and watch some of my videos, and you'll see videos on Jade Helm and all kinds of things. Gun control, the treatment of the indigenous, my brother, Native American indigenous. Excuse me. I've been doing this for 10 years, so here we come with this latest political gamut with Trump and the truthers and all this stuff. And here we come with a whole new flood of people supposedly proclaiming freedom and trying to inform you about the bad guys and stuff like this. I've been doing this for 10 years. These people have been around, what, a year? A year? And every one of them, I mean, you know, every one of them has advertisements for products. They push buying certain products, gold, health drinks, whatever. Is that bad? No, that's not bad. I mean, people got to make a living. But and then they also want donations. Well, I've asked for donations. That's okay. But um, they recently popped up. Okay, that these group of people recently popped up with the situation that went down with in the last, let's say, 2016 when Trump got into office, and then they didn't pop up then. But what I'm saying is the events that led up to them popping up started in 2016, and then you had the whole Trump presidency, and you had the mainstream media wailing and whining about him. And I've been talking about this stuff for years. And I always try to look at both sides when I look at things. I am not political. I am anti-political. I am apolitical. I am not religious. I am not into organized religion. I'm way, way beyond all of this stuff. I'm not into governments. I'm not into ideologies. That's all an illusion, people. That's all getting hung up in the illusion playing one person against another and all that bullshit. I'm way, way beyond that. Have been for quite some time. So I don't need hopium to keep me going because I've been looking at this world and I've been looking at the shape that it's in for quite some time, and it hasn't been in good shape for a long, long time. All kinds of weird shit's been happening for a long, long time. Nothing is real. It's all a lie. So where do these let me just pause here for a minute since I've been kind of giving you an overview of how I'm feeling about things on both sides, the alternative and the mainstream. Let me pause here and talk about what this video is really all about and how I'm going to correlate it to these so-called truthers. Let's take a particular thing that they talk about. Just one thing, okay? They're always talking about how the mainstream media is lying and how, and they do. It's a total lie. I mean, it's a total lie, okay? It's a mouthpiece of the deep state. So they're right, okay? When they say the mainstream media, these truthers that I talk about, when they say the mainstream media is perpetrating really, really bad stuff and telling us lies, like the whole thing, let's say with the pandemic and with the masks and the vax and all that stuff. Um, they contend that we're being lied to, and we are. Okay, so on all kinds of levels, and they say that that's one of the main problems. And another thing they say is uh, at some point that will be taken down. And another thing they say is that the military's involved and is running the country, is going to run the country. And then they say that Trump's going to return and he's going to go to Mount Rushmore and he's going to become president again. But the point that I really want to make here is that they're accusing the mainstream media and they say it needs to be taken down. Well, take down the mainstream media then. Don't just talk about it, take it down. Take down the mainstream media. Because in truth, the mainstream media is the mouthpiece of the powers to be. It's the mouthpiece of pure evil, pure darkness. It controls and manipulates all of mankind, all over the world. Why do you think people do what they do? Why do you think people take sides? Why do you think people believe stuff that isn't true? Let's say on all levels, politics, medical information, religion, wars, perceptions of reality. This goes way, way back. That's why I said I might do a series on propaganda. So these truthers are saying, take down, we'll take it down. They say it's going to be taken down. Really? And they say that the military is going to do it. And guess what? They've been touting this stuff since December. Now, see, I told you I watch things objectively. I don't get wrapped up in stuff. Sure, I'd like certain things to happen. Wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all like a freer world? But again, I've been beating this drum for 10 years. So I don't want to be offered, or let's put it this way, I'm beyond it. I don't want to see my fellow man be offered hope that isn't there, that isn't really there. Oh, they're going to take down the mainstream media. Take it down then. How long would it take down the mainstream media? Let's just talk about this one point that they talk about. First of all, they say that um, we have these powers, and we do, these dark powers that mean us harm. What do you think these dark powers work through? What do you think I have been saying for years and years and years? Who do these dark powers work through? How do they get their message out? How do they brainwash people? How do they hypnotize people? How do they program people with neuro-linguistic programming? How do they, with words, okay, with pictures, with emblems and symbols, and through sports and through movies, okay? And they have a program, they have an agenda, which is very, very dark. We all know that. I've known it for years. And many of us have known it for years. This is nothing new, you know. But if you're going to take down the mainstream media, take it down. Don't talk about it. Don't say, "Hey, our military's in control," and eventually they're going to come out on an emergency broadcast system and they're going to declare that the bad guys have been overtaken. Let's put it that way, the bad guys. It's really laughable in a way. Putting it down to childlike terms, the bad guys and the good guys and the white hats. Let's watch some westerns on TV. If you wanted to take down the mainstream media, you could take it down overnight, in 24 hours. If the military was really in control, I'm just going to pick some of this stuff apart. If the military was really in control, how hard would it be to take down all these main broadcasting systems like CNN, NBC? Not very hard. You throw a couple of breaker switches. I mean, you wouldn't even need violence. Yeah, the Navy SEALs or Delta Force or somebody could go in there and clean house, take over the property. First, you throw the breaker switches, which ends their broadcasting totally. You need electricity to generate broadcasts. You take down their energy source. It's all about energy. You take it down. How hard would that be? Flip a couple of switches if you were the military or the CIA or whoever. How hard would that be to go in there and do that? Not very. Not very. That could happen overnight. It could happen in a couple of hours. All of a sudden, boop, there goes the TVs and the electricity and the broadcast network. So, if you really wanted to regain control over mankind, if you really wanted to, let's say there's a whole deep state, the power to be manipulation of mankind, which there is, then what you would want to do is go in and take the head off the snake. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Remember that movie, The Wizard of Oz, when she finally went in and found this big bad representation of evil or whatever was just something behind a curtain, wasn't real. Well, that's exactly what the mainstream media is. They're just they the powers to be have created this monstrous view of themselves. Really, they're none other than imperfect mankind like everybody else. Just a few people, really, compared to the billions on the planet. But when they put out this facade, and everything is a facade, everything's a lie. When they put out this facade through the mainstream media, they control mankind. Think about that just for a minute. They control all of mankind through media, through the talking heads, through newspapers, through the sports, through Hollywood. Where does that all come from? It's a media. It's a media. It comes through all kinds of it used to just come through TV, but now it comes through your computer, it comes through your cell phone. So, if you really wanted to free mankind and get him to thinking about things, you would take down the media totally, overnight. No more media, no more news. Nobody can go on their iPhone and look up and see what J-Lo's doing or whoever, all of a sudden all that stuff's gone. You can't find anything anymore about any kind of news, any kind of political party, any kind of pandemic, any kind of shit that's going on in the world, supposedly. If that got taken down just for a week, people might start to heal. People might start, that would be the mass awakening. And these truthers, they talk about, oh, there's going to be a mass awakening. Well, if you really want a mass awakening, take away all the jabberwocky going on daily, over and over ad nauseum, again and again and again and again, about what's going on in the world, according to a certain viewpoint, according to a viewpoint that's being fed into this mainstream media, which is an arm of the powers to be, which is an arm of the Central Intelligence Agency, which is an arm of the security state, the Stasi. You take that stuff down for a week, and what are people going to do? They're going to have massive withdrawals. Okay. Psychological withdrawals. They're going to be hurting on a psychological level for a while because they don't have that tit to suck. They don't have that addiction. They don't have that mental excitement, that mental trauma, that mental anxiety, that mental fear. They don't have it anymore. It's like an addict going through withdrawals. Okay, they can't go suck that tit anymore. They don't have that addiction anymore. They're going to have to think for themselves. Thinking, what a concept, huh? What a concept. Thinking for yourself instead of having others do your thinking for you, instead of others making decisions for you. And what else would happen if you took the mainstream media? Take the mainstream media down. Take it down. I don't want to hear any more excuses about it. I don't want these truthers coming out and saying it's going to be taken down. I want it taken down. And it could be taken down even by the people. even by us, the people, we the people, instead of depending on a military, uh, they're always touting the Constitution, you know. Well, the Constitution says do it yourself. Do it yourself. Take matters into your own hands. Don't be so lazy. Get out there and do what has to be done. Put your life on the line. However you want to do it, that's what you got to do. Just like Crazy Horse said, hoka hey, hoka hey, it is a good day to die. Well, they're killing you anyway, slowly, so what difference does it make? You either are going to have freedom or you're not going to have freedom. You're either going to be free or not free. Of course, freedom is really up here in the mind. That's another way to take down the mainstream media. You take it down in your own mind. You turn it off. But the problem is that it's hard to turn off. If it's just like an addict, if you know it's there, you're gonna go for it. If you know it's there, you're gonna go for it because you've had it before and you want it again. So that's a way to do it. Just turn it off. But if it was turned off for you, if it was taken away, what would you have to turn to? Where would you go for your little addictive habit there? Because all spin, and then, you know, you could take out the newspapers too. They'd try to get it out somehow, but what we need to do here, people, is we need to go back to square one. We need to go back to how the indigenous people of this land lived. Before the white man, before the European man came over here and fucked everything up. Hey, that's my first four-letter word for the day. But that's what needs to be done. So with the rant that these truthers have about this should happen and that should, do that first, and then all your problems are solved. You don't need to do another damn thing after that. It's real simple. That's why what they're saying when I analyze this stuff doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Because if the military really was in charge, they could do this overnight. Who wants the military in charge anyway? I mean, that's another thing I scratch my head on. Really, I want a bunch of guys in uniforms with attitudes and egos and with a history of completely destroying the world and killing millions of men, women, children, babies, infants, babies. I want them running the country. No, you know what's, I don't want that running the country. I don't want politicians running the country. Really, I mean, you know, if you really look at it from an enlightened perspective, you don't want a government. Government's what the problem is. And governments are controlled by the people behind the governments who are really the problem. So you need to take out the people that are running the governments, that are running the mainstream media, that are running YouTube, that are running Google, that are running Facebook, that are running all this stuff. All this propaganda, the lies, the deceit, the filth. That's what needs to happen. But until that happens, another way that you can fight what's going on is to to learn how to identify lies, to learn how to identify misinformation, to learn how to identify propaganda, to learn, and there's earmarks. And again, that's why I would do a series maybe. There's things that you can look for to check. Okay, I've always been one. I drive my girlfriend nuts, but I've always been one to fact check, or real fact check, not this phony bullshit like they got online. Research. How about that? That's a better word. I like to do research on things. I don't just take things for face value. It's like religion, you know? It's like an ideology. They program you and program you and program you and brainwash you and tell you this lie and that lie. Make you feel guilt, make you feel fear. Everything is fear, fear, fear. Anxiety, guilt, fear. That's what it is. It has been from day one. That's one of the main mechanisms of control. So people don't buy into stuff you hear without doing research. Don't buy into the fact that somebody's going to come and save your ass, some politician, or some movement, or some alternative media sources feeding you information over and over and over again. Man, I go on there. I can see how easily it would be to get sucked into some kind of a hope or hopium, because everybody wants a better world. Who doesn't want a better world? Who doesn't want things, peace on earth? Who doesn't want a lot of love all over? Who doesn't want all of this stuff to go away? Who doesn't want to not be a slave to the system, subjugated to the whims of psychotic, sociopath individuals? Who doesn't want that? That's awake, that's enlightened. Now, a lot of people out there, they're so hypnotized, brainwashed, robotized, go to work every day, come home. All they care about is getting home to their beer, getting home to their TV set, getting home to the whatever. After a hard day's work of slaving and paying taxes and being in complete subjugation. So who doesn't want that? Well, everybody with half a brain or two brain cells that they could rub together, or that is enlightened at all, doesn't want to be a slave to the system. So my main point with this video, and I think I made it pretty well, is that we don't need the mainstream media. We don't need this. That's what controls the whole world. Do you realize that, people? Do you realize that if you didn't constantly get fed this information, you would have to think for yourself? Think about that for a minute. Now, until they do take down the mainstream media, you're going to have to take it down yourself in your own head. You're going to have to turn that puppy off. You're going to have, if you can't just cold turkey, wean yourself. Try to wean yourself off like you would any addiction. That can be done. Pay attention to more about your own personal life, your own world. Create your own world. Divorce yourself from this system of things. Detach yourself. become indifferent to, become oblivious to. Non-discrimination, non-discriminatory. In other words, have no discrimination whatsoever. I don't discriminate against this. I don't discriminate against that. I'm neutral. I'm like the enlightened masters. I'm neutral. I just look at life and I realize life for what it is. It's an illusion. It's a play of light. It's the delusion within the illusion, as I always say. It's not real, people. The only thing that is real is your soul, your spirit. And that spirit pervades everything. Okay. Now, in a sense, because I learn more and more every day. Everything is real in a sense. Okay, in a sense, everything is spirit, everything is soul, everything is the creative emanation, the source. It's all you, and you are all it. And see, that's where I'm coming from. Really, is this higher level of consciousness, this higher frequency, where I look at things as an illusion, where I look at things as a manifestation of thought, or maybe even my own thought, how I'm creating the world, how you're creating the world. What are we creating for ourselves? See, that's where I kind of tend to want to come from. So that's why it's so easy for me to spot things from both sides, the mainstream and the alternative side. It's so easy for me, because my mind just looks at it like, what's the agenda? What are they trying to push? Is it really for my betterment and the betterment of mankind? Do the things they say come true when they make predictions? Do they ring true? Do they have to backpedal a lot and back up on what they say? Do they change the narrative halfway through the narrative? As months go along, does the narrative change? Because that's one way you can tell people have lied and then they're trying to backpedal off of it. It's not really that hard, people. People lie because they have an agenda, and they now let's talk about some of these people that are alternative people. Well, they may have good hearts. I'm not saying that some of them don't have good hearts, but they too can get caught up in an agenda. Say like the Q movement, which you're all familiar with, and I don't even have to talk about. I saw through that a long time ago. A long time ago, made a video about it. It's all just movements and counter movements and one side against the other. It's almost like spy versus spy. Remember that old Mad Magazine little cartoon thing? That's what they should be using instead of the white hats and black hats. Spy versus spy. Um, I'm going to have to really, I think, get into a series on propaganda and disinformation. And so I can, so let's say you can't turn off. Let's say you can't turn off the media and the media doesn't get taken down. How can you discern between what's being told to you as bullshit and what's real? Well, you have to learn how to, you have to get a bullshit detector inside of you, and you have to educate yourself. And I might go way back to the beginnings of propaganda. I've touched before on one of the main sources where it started with Edward Bernays back in 1930s and stuff. So I might have to do that. But don't buy into all this stuff that people are saying. Don't get caught up in the maelstrom of anxiety and counter-anxiety and hopium and dopium and on and on and on and on and on. Take down the mainstream media in your head. Take down the alternative media. Look at it outside of what it appears to be. It is none other than an act. It's none other than manipulation. It's none other than words. Words have a lot of power. A lot of power. If you don't want to be controlled, disconnect yourself from the Matrix. What a great movie. Very symbolic. Disconnect yourself from the tentacles of the Matrix. Unplug. Unplug from the Matrix. I might name this video, Take Down the Media, Unplug from the Matrix. How would that be? That might be a good one. So I guess I talked enough today. I think this one's safe to put up on YouTube even. Maybe. I'm going to do it. Doesn't matter. I'll put it up everywhere. Think about the things that I say here, because really, people, don't get caught up in this good hat. Good hat, good guys, white hat, bad guys, spy versus spy. Gotta save humanity, man. Gotta save humanity. Well, the only way that you're going to save humanity is first to have a clear head. And then you can start saving humanity by saving yourself first. Okay? All great spiritual traditions say that in order to save humanity, or let's say in order for things to change, saving humanity, see, that's another catchphrase. Man, even I get caught up. You don't want to save humanity. You want to enlighten yourself, and then it ain't going to make any fucking difference about saving humanity. Okay? Because you're going to realize it for what it is, just like the Gnostics, the Gnostic tradition and the ancient traditions. The real savior is within yourself. It's your Christ consciousness. It's your joining to the Christ grid. It isn't out there. It isn't out there, just like Jesus said. It's not over there or over here, the kingdom of heaven. It's within you. It's within you. Many masters have said that. Buddha, when he talked about the middle path, that was talking about remaining neutral. Wasn't about any kind of dogma or anything like that. It was about being centered and remaining neutral within yourself so that you don't get caught up in sides. That's what propaganda uses. It uses duality. It uses good versus evil. There is no good versus evil beyond duality. There is no good versus evil beyond duality. Duality is the good versus evil. It's the dark and the light, the chaos, the spinning wheel. But beyond that is beyond the duality. Above it, rise above it, look at it. Life and death, the same wheel, the two sides of the same coin, good and evil. Okay? But beyond that is pure spirit. Beyond that is pure consciousness, which none of this shit matters then. It's all put into perspective. But humanity does need, from time to time, people like me and like its ascended masters. And I'm not saying I'm an ascended master, but I do channel. And I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night. Oh, man. Got to have a sense of humor, you know. I've been involved in shamanistic activities for quite some time. Quite some time. I've been on the spiritual path for quite some time, and even written 2 or 3 books. So won an award-winning book. So um, I'm not a Johnny-come-lately. I don't rub shoulders with the rich and famous, though, and I don't rub shoulders with bullshitters. Okay, I'm going to leave it there today. I told you this was going to be a long one. It's kind of long, so I'll think about doing a series on propaganda, um, disinformation, because a lot of people just can't turn that tube off. So if you can't turn it off, you can't disconnect from it. Well, then what you can do is make a little game out of it and learn from it. Learn how to spot disinformation agendas, tactics, covert and overt. If you learn how to do that and you're looking for it, then you're going to realize how much you've been lied to about everything. Everything. And then you'll have some tools to work with. So I'll think about doing that. All right. Thanks for listening. Until I see you next time, adios. I'm out of here.